When Ryan's when it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind to Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting. The 18 that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind to Raw for Monday night. Download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind to Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the mic.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rewind to Raw. It's John Pollock along with Mr. Ting. Hello, Wai.
Hey, John, what's up?
I am doing all right. Ready to dive into, this is Survivor Series week, and we have a big episode of Raw to break down, dissect from multiple angles.
We're going to need it, yeah. I mean, you know, this was really just the 1 hour, 3 hour show. The only 3 hours we have to focus on Survivor Series, so we're going to have to put everything under a magnifying glass.
Did they grab you?
I don't know. Grab is very
Was
loose.
this exciting? Was the end of Raw? You're like, oh no, 6 more nights till Survivor Series? All these questions.
No, I really can't say so. I mean, the matches is really, like, you didn't have to watch this show, you know? Like, all you have to do is just Google, like, Wikipedia, the Survivor Series card, and you're pretty much left with the same thing. This is very much a show just built on what's on paper. I mean, other than maybe Charlotte and Becky, you know, to be fair. There's a good promo there tonight, and Big E Roman. Again, I feel like that was kind of already set. So anyway, we'll talk about it in the show review.
We will indeed. This week on the site, we will have a Survivor Series post show Sunday night, right after the pay-per-view, with Wai and I going live for Double Ice Cap and Espresso members of the Post Wrestling Cafe. So we will look forward to that. But before that, Rewind Away. It's our Wayne Gretzky edition. It is number 99. And what goes better with Wayne Gretzky than Herb Abrams and the UWF Blackjack Brawl from September of 1994? A show we have never reviewed before, Wai, and we'll probably never ever review again. But that is on the docket for Tuesday night.
I don't think we've ever reviewed a UWF show. I don't think I've ever seen a UWF show. The only time I've even thought about the UWF was through the Dark Side of the Ring episode that aired recently. So this was a choice by Bruce Lord. So thank you, Bruce, for diving into something brand new on Rewind Away we've never done.
That is coming up Tuesday, and then all of our regular shows coming out this week, including the return of the Wellness Policy, Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern. It will be live with Wai Ting and Jordan Goodman.
And Davey Portman, he'll be joining us this week. We're talking about the concept of community. You know, if that sounds vague, well, it's a bit vague to me too. So we're going into this one completely cold, but I think Davey's always a good guest, especially when it comes to topics like these, because he's done such a great job with the BD and the Up Next universe. So I look forward to talking to him and Jordan.
Well, they are doing their big Survivor Series show on Thursday night, I believe.
Ooh, okay. It is. Wow.
So exciting stuff coming up this week, everybody. So check out the schedule. It's up at postwrestling.com. And you can now catch our post daily news updates. We have one up for today, and then we will be back Tuesday afternoon chatting all of the latest news for Tuesday. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So again, audio on the Patreon, get the shows right to your device, usually at about, like, you know, sometime between 1 to 3 o'clock in the afternoons. Perfect for most drives home, or if you're on the other side of the world, perfect for waking up, I suppose, at 3 a.m. if you happen to do that. But other than that, if you are not, for whatever reason, a patron, subscribe to our YouTube channel and you can get them for free. Watch or listen to them right there, youtube.com/postwrestling. We're about 1,100 away from 10,000. So hopefully we can reach that milestone by the end of November.
Yes. You know what it would mean if we made it to 10,000 Wai before the end of the month?
What's that?
I think we could call it stupendous.
Oh, the most stupendous month in the history of the Post Wrestling YouTube.
So this is actually the tagline for WrestleMania. I heard this on Friday when Stephanie McMahon said this line, and my brain is wired when I hear certain words out of Stephanie McMahon. Like, I know the focus group that was behind that word. And then as soon as the video package ends, you have Michael Cole verbatim repeating the line. And that never happens by coincidence in WWE. It is a very thought out slogan. So
it's written out on the graphic.
Oh, it is the tagline, the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history, which I love it for the reason that imagine all the different characters on this show that are going to have to say the word stupendous between now and April.
I'm just curious to know like what sort of meetings they've had, what sort of research teams they've had with their marketing department. I'm assuming 50 people were kind of, in a group meeting before they landed on the word stupendous. Like I've not known of any product.
Maybe this was guys, we forgot to come up with a tagline quick.
But
I
of
don't
all
know,
words,
stupendous.
No, but of all words you can use to describe something as great, impressive, good, I think stupendous would be my last choice.
When was the last time you can recall using stupendous in your everyday speech in any setting, any context?
I don't know. Probably when I was, I meant to probably say stupid by accident, and I said stupendous through autocorrect or something like that. Like it sounds awful. The word.
Yeah, and it's also kind of setting the bar low. It's like the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history. It's not even the most stupendous WrestleMania in history. The bar is set at the first year where we were in an empty gym, and last year. Like, we're going to be better than last year, essentially, is what they're saying.
Yeah. Have there been other?
WrestleMania can't be worse than the last two.
Well, sorry, what is the exact line? What is the exact
most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history?
Right. Okay. So yeah, it's not much of an accomplishment.
It's a very significant qualifier. This isn't going to be like the big shows that we did in the Attitude Era or any of those, but the last three, we're hitting for the fences in this one.
Right. They're not even bold enough to say, I mean, just the most stupendous two-night event in WWE history, at least, or wrestling history. I mean, can't they say? I whatever. It's a tagline. I just find it peculiar that they landed on the word stupendous. It's are the kids saying stupendous much these days?
Clearly, because I watch this show and it is dialogue that is right out of the mouths of 18-year-olds that would be talking about Avengers and cool movies like Godzilla.
Right, yeah. But I mean, maybe joke's on us. We just spent 5 minutes talking about this WrestleMania tagline. So maybe they got us again. It's the Great Balls of Fire philosophy.
Yes, which never came back.
No, well, not yet.
Tonight's Raw from the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So this was interesting. Last Friday, Rampage was in Norfolk, Virginia. No. I've got it all screwed up now. Last week, Dynamite was in Indianapolis. Tonight, Raw was in Indianapolis. And then the flip side was that last Friday, SmackDown was in Norfolk, Virginia. And this Wednesday, Dynamite is in Norfolk.
They swapped, yeah.
Pretty much each week.
They swung. They're swingers, town swingers.
That's right. Well, the Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Okay, sounds ambiguous.
Very corporate. Big E comes out to start the show, and he informs us he has a match with Roman Reigns this Sunday. And, last week, he came out, not a care in the world about Kofi. But this week, they beat up Woods. And now he's got Big E's attention.
Well, more importantly, they took his crown, which I think was the big thing.
That was,
injure the man, whatever. Take his crown. That's family.
It is. He says, this was supposed to be brand versus brand and champion versus champion. But you and your cousins took it to a place you can't come back from. Putting your hands on my family, I'm going to beat you like you stole something and make sure that there are empty beds in the hospitals in Brooklyn. But that's Sunday. Tonight is Monday Night Raw, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got another feud to focus on here, and the this was our initiation for this big program that will culminate on Sunday. Although we would get Usos' involvement tonight.
Yeah. I mean, this always happens prior to Survivor Series where they have to play some sort of weird juggling act between the program that they're trying to sell on within the brand and the program that they're trying to sell across the brands. And for some reason, I guess this year they decided to pretty much leave it until the final week or week and a half to really tell the story, even though they have planted the seeds between Roman and Big E prior to the brand split. So, the match, again, it's a match that kind of, writes itself. It's champion versus champion. That's the story, with a bit of added heat to it with the New Day Big E. So, yeah, it is what it is.
That's the tagline for Survivor Series.
It is what it is. It is what it is 2-night event.
He turns his attention to Kevin Owens, who comes out and is booed, and said how Big E cost him his match last week with Seth Rollins, and it was his third straight loss since coming to Raw. Owens said, "I never lied, but because Big E said I did, everyone believed you because they like you, and now they're judging me. Well, all of you can go to hell. And perception is reality. That makes me the bad guy, so I'm going to cause hell." Actually, he said, "I'm going to break bad for everyone." He's breaking bad.
He's going to make some meth in his lab.
Yeah.
Try
meth
away.
head, Kevin Owens. And he says that this is all Big E's fault of the bad he is going to break here on Raw and wreak havoc on everyone. And Big E goes after Kevin Owens when he's jumped by the Usos. And Jay says that Reigns sends his regards. He's not showing up here, and he'll see him on Sunday. Riddle comes out to help him. Sonya Deville follows and makes this a tag match. And then for whatever reason, Seth Rollins comes out at the end of this segment as we go to break. We come back. It is the Usos against Big E and Riddle with Seth Rollins on commentary.
I mean, it's, this whole like 45 minutes of this show really could have been booked by a video game. It's just like person A cuts a promo on person B, and then like people come in that are loosely affiliated, and then you got a tag team match. And I mean, I guess the difference this time was you got a multi-man match on top of multi-man match. Like they just kept stacking it.
Yeah, they kept this short because they were giving you a nothing finish. The announcers at least brought up the apron bomb that Big E sustained last week, which was our big angle to go off the show. I'd say, oh, he's moving around a little rough from last week. Man appeared fine, but nonetheless, we have seen remarkable rehabilitation from concertos, so an apron bomb should be nothing. That's Tylenol and you're good next day.
Maybe some chiropractic work.
Maybe he saw Dr. Bo Hightower.
Yeah.
Big E gets the tag, belly to bellies to both Usos, and then throws Jimmy onto Seth on the floor. And Big E strikes Rollins. Rollins runs into the ring for the DQ in 2:55. And Rollins is delivering a beatdown with the Usos when Randy Orton is finally bothered enough to come out and hits Jay with an RKO. We come back from break, and it is Big E and RK Bro against the Usos and Seth Rollins, because nothing says go-home show for the pay-per-view about brand versus brand than Raw and SmackDown uniting for a common enemy, as the Usos and Seth Rollins did in this match.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Here's the cast. These people hate each other, and then these people also hate each other, so put them in a tag match. That's really it. That's as much thinking as I think, has gone into this show. This
felt like an extremely disorganized show. Watching it at 6 p.m. tonight, they put out a video announcing Seth Rollins will take on Finn Balor tonight. And that was changed. This was announced 2 hours before the show. And by that point, that got tossed for this idea with Seth Rollins. And then Owens took on Finn Balor.
Really? Wow. 2 hours.
Yes.
Like, why bother even announcing?
I mean, they pretty much don't announce anything anymore. Like, as of this afternoon, the preview was the one I read to you today about Big E. He will do something about Kevin Owens. Becky Lynch will react to her new challenger, Liv Morgan, whatever that means. And Bobby Lashley and MVP are coming to Raw, which was half true.
Right. I mean, I think they should just promote every single edition of Raw as sort of a mystery show. You don't know what you're gonna get. Just question mark versus question mark.
Mystery Vortex every Monday night. It's what it kind of is. So 6-man tag. They almost like redid the tag match here because it's Riddle selling. Big E gets the tag, does his belly to belly comeback, and then we come back from break. They get the heat on Orton, who tags Riddle, who's hitting his exploders and sentons. All 6 get involved. There's a discus forearm by Rollins, and then delivers another to the back of Riddle's head. The hidden Rollins blade, and pins Riddle going into the Survivor Series. So both SmackDown and Raw prevail in tandem with one another before Seth has to go up against SmackDown as a member of Team Raw this Sunday. This did wonders. And then the Usos try to double team Riddle, but Jimmy gets sent to the floor, and Jay runs to the corner and gets intercepted with an RKO, which I have done many times, running to the convenience store before it closes and just slip in a puddle, and my neighbor hits me with one of these. It happens if you're running.
Right, yeah. I have nothing to say, dude. It's like...
Dude, this is just such a clustered show. And that's what I'm going to just review this as, okay? It's like this is a variety show of just stuff that's thrown to the wall. And I can't pretend that this was any kind of a go-home show for a show that I have any interest in on Sunday. So there you go. I'm so negative. At me.
Well, they have a pay-per-view with a theme to promote. And then they have to, fill the rest of the TV time to create some sort of connective tissue to get you to that show. I just don't think it's a show with, much foresight put into it. It's other than, we have this pay-per-view with this theme and we have these matches, and then you kind of just fill in the rest, fill in the gaps with other things. So
this needs a fresh coat of paint. They love their word reimagining. They've got to reimagine the Survivor Series. This concept is dead. Just dead.
If you're watching the week to week, yeah, it's not special at all. I wonder though, if you're watching just the pay-per-views, if it's attractive to you that way. Like on paper, seeing a champion versus champion match, I think is probably still attractive. You're getting two, arguably the company's 2 biggest stars from either women or men's divisions facing each other.
It's not like this sold out the Barclays Center, for what you want to, the weight you want to put in the Survivor Series name, which I was speaking with someone today about this, of like where Survivor Series really is in the pecking order. And it's quite low. I don't even know if it comes with a whole lot of nostalgia attached to it from somebody like yourself that grew up with this as a pay-per-view. This was never a big pay-per-view. I was never a big fan of the concept, but I'm probably in the minority there. But I don't think this holds any kind of nostalgic value, and I don't think there's a whole lot of marquee value attached to it unless it's, you have a special attraction for said event.
Yeah.
The name, to me, is, I don't know. I don't know if there's much more to this than any of your other B shows.
No. I mean, I think we all recognize the name because it's been around for so long. But it's not like there's a specific match type. Like, even people clamor for like the 5-on-5s, but like, I don't think they're that great. I never really thought they were that great. I mean, they could be great vehicles to, tell your smaller stories with, but I certainly don't think you need a full card of them.
They were novel at a time when it was a novelty to see these different names teaming up together, pairings you wouldn't see, and it's names versus names that was still infrequent enough that it stood out as a cool concept in 1987.
But you get multi-man matches every week.
It's not TV. Novel. We just got an interpromotional 6-man here on Raw.
Yeah, and then just with the current format of how they do TV and choosing not to mix the brands together, I mean, it's a real headache to try to create TV. It's simply not a concept that works for television unless they like ideally a WrestleMania would be brand versus brand. You know, like if we're looking at the WWE and their brand split, like it's some sort of like, you know, sports division. Ideally, by the end, you have your World Series with the champion versus champion, and the ultimate winner of that match becomes your ultimate champion. But it's anything but that. You know, the Survivor Series simply is just like almost like a meaningless display where the winner doesn't get anything. You know, Roman Reigns could beat Big E, or Big E could beat Roman Reigns, and there really is no difference. Maybe a crown will be exchanged this time around, but in reality, like there are no real stakes attached, and I think that's only one of the problems with it all.
After the match, Big E is left with Jey Uso and tells him, "I received Roman's message, and I have a return message." And he hits the big ending and says, "I want all the smoke. Message received." And Big E was good here with this, you know.
The talent is so incredible. The intensity is there. I mean, this is his, you know, what he's worked his entire career for. So you know he's taking it seriously, just like how Drew McIntyre took his run seriously. But the TV has not been good, and it has like it's not been good for a long time.
And I think it's a tricky finish for Sunday. For Big E, like I just think that it's. I don't think it is the time for this guy to just be losing, kind of like we saw last year when it was Drew McIntyre in that same role, and it led nowhere, losing to Roman.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who wins.
Mackenzie Mitchell was on Raw tonight, along with Sarah Schreiber, and Mackenzie interviewed Bianca Belaire and said the Dewdrop keeps sticking her nose in her business, when all of a sudden Tamina walked in and said, "Tonight, you're my business." And Belaire says, "You'll do." And you'll do, because Dewdrop will not. And we went to break, and they put the graphic up for what's coming up next. And the graphic is Bianca Belaire versus Tamina, who had Dewdrop in her corner on the graphic, but then Tamina came out by herself, and Dewdrop stayed in the back.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. Maybe she was supposed to come out.
It tells me that probably the original idea was Dewdrop would be in Tamina's corner, and then for whatever reason, they decided against that. But that was what the graphic displayed going into commercial.
Who knows?
Kevin Owens is backstage, and Sarah Schreiber says, "You don't seem like a man of your word." And Owens says, "Well, I said I'm going to be a bad guy now, so technically I didn't lie, because..." I think his logic was bad guys lie, or he said I was going to be a piece of shit. So when I lie, I told you ahead of time I'm a horrible person, so it's not a lie.
Okay.
I'm trying. Finn Balor appears and says that he was not here last week. He does not trust Kevin Owens one bit. I could have sworn the last time these two interacted, they were like best friends on the show, but now he doesn't trust him one bit. And he said, "I was supposed to face Seth Rollins tonight, but now I'm told it's you and me." Owen says, "Okay, cool. That's too bad for you, Finn."
And that's not a lie, is what he says.
That's right. That's not a lie. Which means, was that a lie?
Fuck, I have no idea, man. I don't know if much thought deserves to be put into talking about this, because I don't know how much thought is put into creating it.
Bianca Belaire and Tamina. This will lift your spirits. Tamina took control. Belaire got sent into the corner. Spine buster. Then Tamina hit a super kick, goes to the top, and gets thrown off. Handspring moonsault, but Belaire lands on the knees. Super kick gets caught, avoids the Samoan drop, and the big spot is lifting up Tamina for the KOD in 439. And that will do.
Yeah, good little showcase match for Bianca Belaire. You know, it's rare to see her against a bigger opponent, and in there, I thought, you know, the two of them did pretty well together. You know, and we had a big, impressive KOD at the end, and you know, Bianca, her style, I think, has really, you know, they've really kind of honed in on like what makes her matches work, and even a match against, you know, a completely cold opponent, I would say, in Tamina, I thought she was able to make it feel a little bit special. And Tamina, I suppose, is like sort of like in your Big Show role, where it's like, you know, because she's simply big, like you can place her at any point as a monster for an opponent.
Dewdrop comes out and says, "You must be exhausted after that match. It wouldn't be fair for me to take advantage of you, but after Survivor Series, I'll be looking for you."
Yeah,
Becky
translation. We got to put a program on pause, basically, because of this brand versus brand thing that I have no part of. And then I'll see you, but once that's over. Like, how awkward.
It's like the Survivor Series is the ultimate inconvenience for all these people on this show. It's like, oh, got to go to this family reunion. I don't really want to go, but we'll hang out after.
No,
Becky
the timing
Lynch
it's super awkward. And I just like, it's been years of this now that they haven't really been able to solve the issue.
It seems like there would be a strategy involved that could incorporate the draft with the Survivor Series that could come up with like a cohesive way that one either results from the outcomes of the Survivor Series or just some connectivity between the two. At the very least, some like draft selections are, Raw and SmackDown are competing for draft slots. Anything. Like literally people are just looking for any kind of stakes attached to some of this stuff that would add some meat to the matches. And this next segment was a perfect representation of what we've been talking about. Becky Lynch was great in this. She literally had to play two characters in this segment because in one program, she is a babyface, and in another, she's the big-headed heel. So the first half is her coming out and cutting a very good promo on Charlotte Flair, where she replayed the comments from SmackDown, where Charlotte said there's nothing natural about her, and said that this was like I wrote about this in my update. This is the way the promo should have been, that we used to be best friends. We rode everywhere, and I was happy for your success. I was also a shoulder for you to cry on when things didn't go your way. But I realized that being friends with you came with conditions. You be the star, and I stay in the background. And I said to hell with that, and Charlotte being a one-note ripoff of someone else. And I went on to become the biggest star in the industry, and my success made you bitter and miserable, and you don't even like yourself anymore. I'm going to force you to face your insecure demons. This is not about brand supremacy, but about personal legacy, and I'm going to beat the piss out of you. I thought it was a good promo. Like literally the most energy for any one of these programs for Sunday was out of this promo. And Charlotte's too on Friday.
Yeah, Becky's was great. I really liked it. And like, if they, if the show was different, if the way they produced these TVs were different, I think you could have headlined the entire show just with this feud, and with a series of TV shows, maybe sit down interviews with just simply with these two talking about their history together. There's just so much material, so much footage that you could use to tell a deep story. Unfortunately, like with the way they separate the brands, you're only kind of getting these little vignettes, like a little bit here and there. And ultimately, it's just, I mean, there's so much real life history too, and real life controversy that's surrounding this that I don't think that they've really.
It's a locker room issue, like Punk and Kingston. Like, look what they made out of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just a tiny thing that you can exploit for the purposes of your program. But Liv Morgan interrupts this, and she comes out and boom, it was like you had to snap your fingers and Becky turned into a different character here. And she says that last week, Becky, you just walked away from me, and I can't let you do that again. I've been waiting for this opportunity to take the title from you. I once admired you the most. And Becky said, I left you last week so you could celebrate one of your few victories. And they brought up this clip from 4 months ago on Talking Smack when Liv stated that when Becky left when she was pregnant, she whispered into Liv's ear, when I come back, you'll be champion. But Liv said 4 months ago, I'm still not champion. And Becky, back here in the ring, apologizes to Liv for getting her hopes up as she has underperformed so poorly. And some people have it, and some people don't. And Liv, you've done nothing while I was gone. And to get a signal, like where are they high on Liv Morgan? Are they really going with her? She got the star treatment here, Way. They gave her the B. She said, on behalf of the WWE Universe, big time Bex is just a big time bitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, this is, a big challenge for Liv Morgan, big title challenge, a big match against Becky Lynch. I feel she's actually a bit colder than maybe where she was some time ago, but I think this comes because of like several start and stop pushes that she's had over the past year. Um, it's now at a point where, I mean, Becky Lynch too is a difficult opponent to go up against because I certainly don't see the crowd cheering Liv Morgan over Becky Lynch. She hasn't had many credible wins either, so she comes into this as an underdog that really just, I think, kind of feels like she's there to take time to, before Becky faces her next big opponent. But it can be a big match. Like we look at what a Liv Morgan feud looks like right now versus maybe a push that Ty Conti got against Britt Baker, and what simply like challenging for the belt on a big stage did for her. And we'll see if Liv Morgan can get that same value.
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, this segment happens next week instead of this. I thought there was enough here to just have one central focus, unless you're doing the title match next Monday. But nonetheless, this ended with Becky going for the manhandle slam, and Liv countered it, and Becky exited the ring but forgot the title, which Liv lifted up. So there you go. RK Bro and Orton, or Riddle and Orton, are in the back, and Orton is pissed about Riddle always playing hero out there, and asks, "Where did helping the Street Profits get you?" And he is just yelling at Riddle and says, "Tonight you entered Big E's mess, and the only thing we should worry about is this team and the tag titles." Riddle tries to explain the concept of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and Orton shuts him down, saying, "No, nobody says that. And all I care about is this team." He screams and he leaves. And then the Street Profits walk in. Riddle loves the Profits, says Orton has a funny way of showing he likes people, and Riddle says, "I have to act a little more like Randy," as he bonded here with the Street Profits some more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Alpha Academy and the Street Profits. Thank God Chad Gable went back to school, because he's got a whole new character now. He holds up his 4 fingers to signify his 4.0 grade point average, and then later yells 4 Otis, which is maybe the team name that they're really trying to force feed. Jimmy Smith says they could be called Brains and Brawn, and Corey Graves just scoffs at this idea, probably thinking in his head, yeah, we fired the guy that could have been part of that team. And Jimmy Smith notes that both Alpha... you're right, they have another Braun in development, so that's right, maybe that will not be too far away. Jimmy Smith notes that the Profits and Alpha Academy are still getting acclimated to the new night of the week and being on a new show.
Acclimated, okay. Just
like
sleep schedules off.
Yeah, could you imagine doing what you've done for your career on a different night of the week? Be really tough, wouldn't it?
I'll bet.
It's like Monday, used to a Friday. Doc and Sue, this is actually a pretty nice match here. Gable has really gotten like a lot more ring time since moving to Raw. Ford landed this huge drop kick. Gable's still holding the 4 fingers in the air on the floor as Ford lands a dive, but then Otis kills both guys. Gable hits a rolling half crab to Dawkins, dragon screw out of the corner, and then a Northern Lights, but misses with the moonsault off the top. Dawkins is in, silencer. Otis won't go down and hits a pop-up power slam onto Dawkins. The cover gets broken up, and then Otis hits his Otis effect, the spinning elbow to Montez Ford, goes for their double team finisher, but Dawkins grabs Otis's leg from the floor, sends him into the barricade, and Ford hits a high cross, or gets hit with a high cross, reverses, pinning Gable as the Street Profits win. So getting acclimated to these Monday nights are the Street Profits.
Yeah. Clocks had to go back an hour.
That's right. They had to deal with that as well.
Oh, man.
Daylight savings time. You've been drafted to Monday. Total mess on their lives here.
Good match. I'm surprised they gave Alpha Academy so much. They had the Profits basically kind of barely squeak by with a win here. And I thought Gable looked really good. I'm glad he's getting a chance to wrestle a bit more lately. And I mean, what do you chalk it up to except Vince falling in love with the idea that this guy got a 4.0 GPA? graduated with whatever.
Valedictorian.
Valedictorian. He must have been just justifiably impressed, and here's a push. So I don't know. Like he's impressed.
You know who's starting to like stand out a bit more to me is Dawkins. Like he's got a really good hot tag, and I think he's made inroads here. I know a lot of people focus on Ford, but I've been impressed of late with Dawkins. Like their rhythm as a team has, it's grown significantly over the last year.
Yeah, sure. I think they've always been good. I don't know how much they've really grown over the past year. Like,
I've seen more in Dawkins. I mean, Ford has like a lot of talents, but they are in this tag division that is largely just a hamster wheel where you're going nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, this is all done, I would assume, to heat the profits up for a title program against RK Bro, or whoever RK Bro loses to, maybe Omos and AJ. Are they even challenging? Who are the programs right now? Who are RK Bro facing? Like, who are they?
They don't really have a program. I mean, they're probably going to do something with the Street Profits. They're certainly hinting at that.
It's Orton teasing a match with Omos, right?
Yeah. I don't think we're really going to revisit the tag title program. They just did that again in Saudi Arabia. I see Orton and Omos, as a singles match at some point.
All right.
Maybe one of the stupendous nights of WrestleMania.
Maybe.
Rey Mysterio walks into Adam Pearce's office and asks him, what the hell? Dominik, that sucked last week. We had a verbal agreement for Dominik to be on the Survivor Series team. Are you a man of your word? And Pearce tells him to stay in your lane. And he makes a match between Rey and Lashley. Some tone here from Adam Pearce. Big promo for Veer Mahan. He is still finding his way to Raw to acclimate. And then we had a pair of matches with Nikki Ash against Queen Zelina, followed by Rhea Ripley against Carmella. So the story here is that Nikki, despite being one of the tag team champions, has not been chosen, and the heels think she's like playing Cinderella that's not gotten invited to the ball.
They're doing a self-confidence storyline with Nikki Ash, coming off of arguably the best self-confidence, self-doubt storyline that we've ever had in professional wrestling. So it's going to be difficult to not make comparisons, and we'll see how they do.
This is going to be a superhero in training shit.
Superhero shit, yeah, sure. Superhero, yeah, exactly what you said.
So the first match was Zelina and Nikki Ash with Ripley and Carmella in the corners. Zelina drilled her with a knee, and then Nikki climbs, gets distracted by Carmella. This led to the code red, and Zelina won in 2:46. So you know where this is going. Ripley and Carmella. Carmella's in the mask. Long chin lock here, and then Ripley starts fuming. She was like playing Damian Priest here, and hits the Northern Lights, misses a drop kick, and gets hit with a pair of super kicks. They showed a replay where it looked like Carmella just drilled her. And then Ripley comes back, headbutt Riptide in 4 minutes and 10 seconds and wins the match. And while I mentioned his name, no Damian Priest on this show, but he has been listed for the match with Nakamura on Sunday.
Both pretty average matches. Crowd seemed to get into the personalities, though. So, yeah, okay.
This is the entirety of the women's tag division that we got the spotlight on.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
Zelina cut a promo asking for the peasants to be silent and congratulated Nikki on being friends with a winner, calling it a fluke. And her and Carmella will lead the Raw team to victory while Nikki is at home with the losers. And Ripley gives a pep talk to Nikki and reminds her, hey, we've got these titles. Don't worry about this. Pearce meets up with Big E, who says that Raw and Adam Pearce need Big E on Sunday. He's got to focus. And Big E lists off all the feuds he's got going on, but Pearce says, I do not want you near Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens, and they actually gave a storyline reason for Big E to not appear and threatened him with the same suspension and fine that Brock Lesnar received. So it would cost him $1 million to run in and mess up this match between Finn Balor and Kevin Owens.
That was the reference, okay. I wasn't exactly sure what he meant by saying Brock Lesnar. Is he saying like he would replace Big E with Brock Lesnar? Is he saying like
I think he was referencing the suspension.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
They're also, this was brought up on one of the last earnings calls, was their idea for unique merchandise for specific events. And they aired an ad here that this Sunday at Survivor Series, they're going to be selling custom, like Bruno Sammartino merchandise at the Barclays Center. So the idea is like limited runs of certain merchandise for some of their big events. So that's what they're doing this Sunday. It's all about like his drawing power, taking that 187 figure, which is higher, but they're not at Madison Square Garden. It's at Barclays Center, which I guess
it's a Bruno Sammartino.
Close enough.
It's a Bruno Sammartino shirt with 187 on it.
Well, it's like the WWE storyline number of sellouts that he had. Yeah, Bruno 187. That's awesome.
Damn.
The Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts are in the front row, and then Rollins is interviewed by Mackenzie Mitchell, and Rollins had like this handler with him who he warned not to wake up the baby in the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is the baby just on the road with Becky and Rollins and just sleeping in the bus?
I would assume
on their own?
A babysitter is probably with their kid.
Yeah.
I don't think this was a joke. I mean, I believe that they.
I'm sure the baby was there. I don't think he would be referencing it if it wasn't.
Yeah.
He's gonna lead Raw to victory. Same promo we heard multiple times, and then he will focus on Big E after this little nuisance of a Survivor Series we've got on Sunday, and then he's gonna take Raw to the mountaintop after he wins the title. So look out, Monday Night Football. New cable giant coming once Seth Rollins wins his title.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah.
Kevin Owens and Finn Balor was next. Very good match between these two. Owens was in control early on and attempted an apron bomb, was unsuccessful. Balor hit a double stomp and a tope con hero, which led to the line. Talk about momentum going into Survivor Series. Momentum from Finn Balor.
It's
double momentum here.
I think they're very self-aware. They have to be, right?
It has to be. Like, they're probably just laughing at one another as they deliver these lines. There's a rolling fireman's carry by Owens off the turnbuckle. Stunner gets countered with a roll-up, and then sling blade by Balor. Back body drop is delivered to Owens on the apron, and then a shotgun drop kick just sends Owens flying into this barricade. It looked, this guy flew. He misses the coup de grace, pop-up powerbomb, Balor kicks out, Swanton lands on Balor's knees, another shotgun, and then the coup de grace gets stopped when he's knocked off balance, and Owens hits the stunner, pinning Finn Balor.
Really good, hard-hitting match.
This was stupendous.
Yes, it was, yeah. Yeah, if you still watch Raw for good matches, I mean, these two you could definitely depend on, and they delivered a very, very good match. Owens is certainly the guy right now that they're pushing. And for Balor, he just kind of feels like a guy who is a background player, a supporting player right now, somebody who they could beat over and over again because he doesn't seem to be in any notable position right now. So I don't know if they're thinking of him as a title contender anytime soon, but Owens might have that spot for now.
Yeah, I think Owens is. This is a. In a heel role, it's kind of fresh now because it's been some time, and there you go. They're obviously going with him. Footage of the WrestleMania on sale party. So you got to hear Stephanie scream the slogan into the camera for you. Sarah Shriver interviewed AJ Styles and Omos, and they're taking on the Dirty Dogs tonight. And AJ Styles had like an all-time promo here. It started off with him reacting to the Dirty Dogs name, making fun of this name and saying, they're not in the same food chain as us. And then he has like a scientific breakdown of We Want the Smoke before he moves on to AJ Styles, a movie critic, and he talks about a movie way called The Avengers, which had a character named Caval.
I get it.
Wait for it. And his army. But instead of Loki, AJ has Omos, which makes me Iron Man.
Yeah, it's referencing the Hulk line.
Yes. And they said, we're two cool guys watching cool movies. And Omos ends the promo by saying he will make them suffer. And AJ gets in a Godzilla line.
Yeah, he's really funny, AJ.
This was humor from a
he's funny
44-year-old man. Yeah, it's very funny.
He's hilarious. No, he is. I mean, I think he's great, actually.
Okay. Rude and Ziggler countered by talking about what they watched on Peacock over the weekend. It stars Arnold and Danny DeVito, just like AJ and Omos, twins.
Yeah, they called AJ Danny DeVito basically.
I love the timeliness of this line. This was great.
I mean, it's a classic, man.
Okay, great.
Everybody knows twins.
They do. I've never seen Twins.
Oh, wow.
But maybe I will now. I don't get Peacock, though. They had a promo on Damian Priest, and that was his involvement on the show. And then AJ Styles and Omos versus Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. This was rather impressive because they time traveled back to 1978 with this match. AJ tagged Omos. So we got Ziggler and Roode taking turns selling and bumping for Omos. And this was just out of another like era. It was just jarring to watch. Like Omos, he built up, he hit him with a chop. Then a slow snake eyes. Ziggler's turn to come in. He gets thrown off of Omos's back. And then we built up to the big high spot, a military press slam. And then AJ was tagged, hit the phenomenal forearm, and pinned Dolph Ziggler in 3 minutes and 18 seconds. This was like this felt like a tutorial I was watching. Run by Ziggler and Roode.
Yeah.
How to bump for a guy for a 3-minute TV match, and he can do 3 things.
Yeah, it felt like, what you put your creative wrestler through after you've created them. Like, this is how to play the video game,
This is when you choose computer versus computer, and they just do the most the basics.
Yeah. Yeah, total squash.
This is jarring. This is jarring to watch with some of the pro wrestling we are exposed to on a regular basis.
I guess they're on a kick where they want to go back to basics. And Vince, one of his favorite things is to push these monsters, and you do that by focusing and putting everything on him, including these types of squash matches. So that's really it. It's Omos. It's Omos, and he's getting a lot of attention. And you know what? I think it's working. Like, he feels like he's a threat. Is it working in that, do I want to pay to see him wrestle? I don't know if I do, but maybe, a lot of other people would. Like this Omos Orton feud that they've got going on. Anytime they've had interactions, I think it's received a good reaction. So yeah, maybe it is working.
I think you get the match. You get the match out of Orton, and I think there will be an absolute curiosity to see him have to do I won't even say real match, but more than this, obviously. Schreiber's with Bobby Lashley, who said that Dominik should never have been on the team to begin with. He's going to beat up Ray, and then he can cheer him on Sunday as he runs through Team SmackDown. Roman Reigns is going to be on Jimmy Fallon Wednesday, and our main event, Rey Mysterio versus Bobby Lashley. No MVP, as we mentioned, so Lashley is out by himself. For the discussion about the, we sometimes play the age game on Rewind Away, Mr. Ting. Do you have any guess what the combined age of our main eventers were tonight?
Combined age, okay. I'm going to say 85.
Not far off, 91.
Is that right? Okay. What are the ages?
Ray is 46. He's going to be 47 in a few weeks, which is crazy.
It's amazing.
And
wow.
Bobby is 45.
Wow, that's incredible. They're both in amazing shape.
Yes.
I say this now as wow, 45? That seems so old. Dude, I'm 37. Like when I was 27, I was thinking I'm 37. I was like, wow, how could those people still walk? And
I can barely walk.
Yeah, I guess 37 really, when you're there, it really doesn't feel that old, and I'm assuming maybe 45 is the same.
just a number. It's a state of mind. The start of this match, Ray goes to does his usual deal, sliding on the mat, and was going for like either a DDT or an arm drag to Lashley, but slipped right off of his shoulders. It might even have been Lashley supposing to catch him to drill him into the post, but totally slipped, and then lifts him up on the shoulders and Lashley is the one that is drilled into the post. Then, with Bobby climbing onto the apron, Ray hits this like the sloppiest 619 I think I've ever seen him execute, that the announcers even called out. And then he goes through the ropes with a sliding splash to the floor. I've seen a lot of Rey Mysterio in my life. This might have been the roughest 2 minutes I've ever seen of Rey Mysterio.
No,
there's like three things that just got messed up here.
Yeah, you don't often see, imperfection from somebody like Rey Mysterio, and you had a few glimpses of it here. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was an extra slippery apron.
Well, you know what the problem is, Way?
Mondays. Move to Mondays.
Acclamation.
Yeah.
Just got drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So after the break, Lashley is just destroying him. He spins him off his shoulder, sends him into the post, spears him in the corner. There's a delayed one-arm vertical as he eyes Dominik in the corner. And then with Ray in the Tree of Woe, Lashley runs for a spear, and Ray literally gets up. Like, the timing was perfect. He got up right at the last second as Lashley runs into the corner. 619 to the body, then to the head. These are much more proficient 619s. And then Ray hit the splash, but in kicking out, Lashley just lifted him up while kicking out and turned it into the hurt lock, forcing Ray to submit. It was quite the setup for the submission. He won't release the hold, finally does, as Dominik is just watching from the floor, and Ray is left for dead. Dominik comes in to check on his father, and Adam Pearce is watching all of this from the back as Sarah Schreiber scores an exclusive with Adam Pearce, asking him, "What are your thoughts on the Survivor Series?" Pearce is like, "Thoughts? Barely have a card on Sunday." He takes the mic, walks out, and says, "It is my job to make sure that we have the best competition at the Survivor Series, and for the well-being of Raw and Rey Mysterio, you're off the team, and there will be a replacement to be named later." And with that, with a minute left to go in the go-home show before the show, Austin Theory appears, ATL on Dominik, and Pearce names Austin Theory to the men's Raw team as Ray and Dominik are just left here in the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so putting Theory on this card in this match, I mean, I suppose to give him some spotlight while also furthering whatever feud they're trying to build with Rey Mysterio and Adam Pearce. Like, is this the program now?
They're definitely that's where you were led to believe, like Pearce messing with the Mysterios.
Yeah, we've got Sonya versus Naomi. And then on this side of things, we have Adam Pearce and the Mysterios.
Yes.
So, see what happens there.
So how does it work? It's like Pearce is a heel on Raw, but he comes across as the babyface on SmackDown. And Sonya, like, it was very much a babyface spot tonight coming out just to make the tag match, but she's a heel on SmackDown. So it's like they have not got acclimated. Yes.
Yeah. Like, a weekend does crazy things to people.
What a mess. You have two people playing four characters right now.
Colors are all over the place. Like when people see red, they just completely change. A bad sleep on a Sunday would totally fuck you up. It would totally turn you good or bad. So, I don't know, dude. Maybe they have different writers. I have no idea. I don't know, dude. I don't know. And I'm sorry, like this feels like it's a shorter review than usual, but it's like, I don't know how much we could really say about it. It's a show it's a pay-per-view coming up on Sunday that just has, I think, very minimal effort in being built in their building. I think, they in many ways were gifted a great story in what they've managed to organically create between Charlotte and Becky Lynch. And I don't feel like they fully mined that great material to flesh out that story. Roman and Biggie, I feel like, for some weeks felt kind of hot when they are actually interacting with each other from week to week. Since then, it's definitely been cooled down. they try to reheat it back up. Maybe we'll see Big E on Friday.
I think so. That would make sense for him to show up Friday. And I think you need a big promo from Charlotte. And maybe even you get Becky on SmackDown. Like maybe
sure.
Just throwing ideas.
But I think in both cases it's a little too late, you know? Like 1 week to go before we're even thinking about these matches. The anticipation for this card is very low. I think at least like so much of the issue is just the timing of the show and the awkwardness of having to create TV without actually having the participants of this pay-per-view going head to head. So it just, again, feels like it's a pay-per-view and a card and a theme that's being done out of obligation rather than any sort of real effort at telling story.
So the card for Sunday, as of now, Big E against Roman Reigns, RK Bro against the Usos, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair, Damian Priest against Shinsuke Nakamura, and then the women's team consists of Raw's Bianca Belaire, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Queen Zelina against Sasha Banks, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi, Natalya, and whoever takes the spot of Aaliyah. The men's team has Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, and Austin Theory against Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, King Woods, Happy Corbin, and the replacement for Sami Zayn, who has not been announced yet.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's go to feedback. There is some here. I'm going to do you a favor, Way. I'm going to do the first one here because it comes from Brandon from New Jersey. Good evening and solutions, gentlemen. Great to talk to you again. Hope both parties are well. Man, this show. What a build to the Survivor Series. And if the parties involved in this build, and I can guarantee that if this guy isn't dealt with in a hurry, there will... Okay, I'm skipping that. I've been stalling for a minute, but I have to come clean. I need your help on something. If not, then I understand. Okay, this is... Okay, he's asking about CP24 breakfast. Thanks, Brandon, for the feedback.
Okay, we go to... who's this person? Carl, who says, not a terrible show, but not great either. Some thoughts. With title holders facing off but non-title, so just the fight for brand supremacy between GMs that run both shows, I think they should scrap brand versus brand team formats. Heels versus faces teams within each brand. Okay. I think he's just... I'm trying to understand. I think he's saying they should scrap brand versus brand, okay, and do heels versus faces instead. He says, why the constant swapping performers out of teams? This feels like Vince looked at teams late and wanted some changes. It could be that, Carl, or it could just be them like needing material for television and wanting to hold some things back for surprise, I suppose. Could be, who knows?
Like this Mysterio thing, like there's a story behind it. It's not just erratically taking people off. Like it seems like there's a specific purpose with this Adam Pearce character.
And what about Sami Zayn and who's the other person that got taken out? Aaliyah. I mean, that's for story. I mean,
Aaliyah's it's the exact same story with Sonya Deville on SmackDown.
Yes. Veer is still coming to a Raw brand that he never left. I do not see him working on his own. Who exactly was Rollins out to scout? As the announced team said, none of the guys in the opening.
Big E.
Right, okay. Yeah.
That made sense.
That did make sense. How is the threat of Brock Lesnar a deterrent to Big E from getting involved? Well, as John explained, it's the threat of the fine, not so much Brock Lesnar himself. Bianca is getting better every week. The loss at SummerSlam in a minute or less dug a big hole, but she is climbing out with her talent. Seems very comfortable and capable in her promos. I agree. Speaking of better, Rhea Ripley is coming off as a legitimate badass again. Less promos, the better. I think she's lost so much of her edge, you know, being a part of this team with Nikki Cross, but maybe it's to set up a heel turn, which I would love. Terrible accent by Zelina. Cannot stand the Dewdrop name. If she fails to stick around, it will be partly due to the name. Dewdrop implies a good, innocent competitor. She needs a new name. So does T-Bar. Does Dewdrop imply good, innocent to you?
I have never given too much thought to the deeper context of Dewdrop.
Okay.
Kate writes in, I hate to grade on a curve, but by the standards of Raw, this one wasn't bad. The promo from Owens off the top and the match with Balor were really good, although I think they risk making Owens the most interesting character on the show. Yeah, it's a very dangerous risk. Let's not go too far here. They're handling the build to the Bianca Doudrop match pretty well. Nothing too complicated. But after Survivor Series, I'm Coming For You is perfectly effective. We all know Liv has no chance of winning, but I like the segment with her and Becky as a way to get some excitement going. The biggest problem with tonight's show was that it had very little to do with the Survivor Series or building it up. The men's team still seems like a confused mess. Adam Pearce is still weirdly picking sides, and I guess threatening Big E with $1 million fine. And the women seem like they're more interested in fighting each other than anyone on SmackDown. I guess they have another swing at a go-home show on Friday, although since it's brand versus brand, it should be more important to give a sense of momentum on both shows. Ultimately, I've left feeling like there's no reason that I should get excited for the pay-per-view since it looks like no one booking the actual show is. And that kind of summarizes it. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback. But most of all, let's all thank Wai.
Why?
Just for being here.
I don't think I offered anything on this review. So
you offered your concrete, honest feedback to a show that is not inspiring a whole lot of excitement.
Well, I have to say, like, I mean, coming off of, I think the great experience of the weekend, where I think you had a lot of options, with more interesting things to talk about than this. Like, it was tough to go back to this. This feels just incredibly low effort, and again, something that's just done to fulfill a contract rather than somebody actually trying to tell an effective story.
Well, let's look at the positive way. The camera lasted all show long. I went to I climbed the mountain of connectivity to charge this camera all day.
Cool.
Prayed to the Sony gods, and this thing lasted.
The green light, did it charge all the way up to the green?
It doesn't turn green. That's what I'm noticing.
Really?
But it's
Is it
charged.
green now?
It says it's
Is it
fully
green now?
charged. No.
Mine is.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna have to look
Weird.
into this. On that note, everybody, we are going to sign off. Thank you for listening to Rewind to Raw. We're back tomorrow. The 1-2 punch, post-daily news show, and then this is going to get everyone's spirit up. The UWF Blackjack Brawl from September of 1994. It's free on YouTube. Don't worry. UWF will not have any problem with you watching this thing for free.
We're watching the 2-hour version. There are actually multiple uploads of the Blackjack Brawl 1994 up on YouTube. We're watching the shortest one.
I think the 2-hour version, the difference between the two is basically commercial sets and like one additional match. Pretty much everything is in this 2-hour show.
All right, cool. Yeah. So, Rewind Away, number 99 on the Post Wrestling Cafe, out tomorrow night. So you can listen to it after you watch the show, or listen to it cold on Wednesday morning.
It will be a great one.